Walking machine. I decided to redo this again because I did not like the original take, so this is another retake of it. With the rise of the machine comes many advantages. The machine can process information millions of times faster than our brains. They can be built thousands of times faster than an organism takes to grow. They do not evolve. They are much easier modelable, and they can see beyond our visible spectrum of light. They can operate easily in deep space. A robot, so long as there is nothing pressurized on the robot, can operate without a spacesuit indefinitely in deep space or in deep within the trenches of any water planet. It is clear to me that precision machine instrumentation, evolving out of the oddities of Japan, has become a form much closer to the heart and soul of our consciousness. This is true, but it also does not mean the end for systems implemented previously, the biological systems, the humans, the males and females. Living in an outmoded system, the outmoding of a system also does not mean that the old systems cannot be improved. Even though it is not logically possible for a system to compare to another system given the parts that it has, parts of the new system can lead to improvements for the old system. In the case with the differences between biological and mechanical automatons, biological society as it is run here today can be streamlined if people were made to act more like robots. Now, by saying that, I do not mean actually force people to behave more like robots. I mean develop systems that are more closer to the way robots would live if they were the way robots would live if they were to take on the responsibilities of walking, talking people. Which means they also require a sense of ethics, and it must be similar to the human sense of ethics as laid forth by Maslow's hierarchy of needs. For the first part, as thinking machines, robots like ourselves need the same basic psychological necessities in accordance to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They will need daydreaming hours as well as working hours, instead of the sleep-wake cycle that they usually get. There may be games developed that a computer can start and play by itself. Machines need not be able to socialize with other machines and organisms. Interface with other machines may be easiest way to communicate for as long as they have the interpreters to understand each other. This means that files of any kind can be transmitted, any kind that can be interpreted can be transmitted between robots telepathically, just like how the internet works today. Robots in daily life. As for buyouts, there is the recognition that with robots' integration into daily life, their way of life will be different from ours. Given that they will be able to walk and talk like us, but we, however, won't be able to communicate like them, there will be many things that we will be able to learn from them in their daily operation. Projections of some of the things we may see them do differently from us are presented in the next slides. Many times robots are depicted in their off position, where they are standing in an empty box not much bigger than they are wide. Humans require shelter not just to rest, but to commence many other subconscious processes, economical, cultural, and hygienic. For a machine, its shelter is simply the barrier that keeps them separate from the elements. Not requiring food or hygienics, the shelter can be the place where they work. As biological humans, a workplace set up to have people live where they work would be unethical, since the land being occupied is being owned by people who also commission your salary. So the land you live on will never be yours, even if you pay for it or not. It will always be your property. You and your property will be both rewards of your managers or the people you work under. Ethically, a walking robot should also be able to find a place separate from their workplace, so that a robot may commence independent and cultural activities separate from its work. When your property is constantly the providence of your managers, then your managers can easily impose things on you outside of your job, besides things that you can normally control, like decorating your interior, for instance. Marriage is the linchpin in our society, since it dates all the way back to the time of the ancient Chinese. By law, it is the initiator for starting families, moving to new homes, and joining two people into a married couple. The income pooled by the marriage of two people allows them to commence activities outside of their jobs. This includes raising children. But since robots do not have children and thus marriage is unnecessary, the human beings' living arrangements must be adjusted in this way. For the modern day, as a robot, reproduction of individual units by older units is impossible. Thus, the birth of every new robot must be ordered, verified, and then approved. This is certainly not the case with organic life. Since organisms can do this spontaneously, the genders of them must be separated from each other. Just like how on a farm you have male cows, and male birds and female birds. This is the lawful abolition of marriage on the premise that two of the same species of an opposite gender occupying the same living space indefinitely may have an indefinite amount of unspecified children, and also the differences in their anatomies may prove to be obtrusive to them and cause a differential to their productive waking life. Instead, up to 4 people of the same gender may occupy a household, since they are not mutually contracted. Since they are mutually contracted to the household and not each other. This means a household would be able to hire and fire members of the household at any time, and optimally, their income would be among 4 working people. For instance, in this household, this is an example of a child's dormitory. 1. The females are separate from the males. 2. There are 4 members of the household, and 3. They're not necessarily meant to reproduce with each other, and 4, they are all productive in the working world. It also means that there can be no children in that household. Constant problems arise with marriages stem from the difference between boys, women, girls, and boys and girls. This is not true with robots. Children of parents must be sent away to live at school and to be with their own kind. In this kind of school system, boys are taught in facilities separate from girls. Unions between these 4 groups occur outside of school time. These measures allow adults to maximize the time they have in devotion to their trades, whether it is public utility or private enterprise. It is not meant for them to necessarily be on a competitive level with machines. In addition to simple money objects like books and candy bars, money is also the trading platform for necessities like tap water and housing. In a factory, a robot must be provided with all of the necessities for them to reproduce a certain good as they are needed, and is expected to produce this product within an exactly specified time frame. This process does not require money. Money used for trade or necessities is usually handled by a different robot. This is an example of an assembly line. Robots are not given the components and then just left to figure out where to put each part. The robot is pre-programmed to operate given the components within a certain specified amount of time, while the product is moving forwards towards completion. Versus the older models of the factory floor, where people were supposed to manually assemble different parts of a structure together and figure out what each part does and where each part went. In today's working world, people earn money from performing tasks that use this money on anything they want, whether it's food, furniture, or snake venom. Ethically, there should be robots that are able to use money freely in this way, but under this system, all robots would need to have to use this money to pay for basic dignities such as clothing or shelter, necessities that may interfere with a droid's ability to perform tasks. Now we notice the obvious thing that may interfere with a human's ability to perform tasks, and that is the various different types of snake venom that are traded. Now one may ask the question: if we know that snake venom is obviously impeding a human's ability to perform a task, why do we keep trading it, one, and why is it so expensive, two? Ethically, people who work for a company should be given all basic default amenities in exchange for providing their service to them, and they should have the ability to use money to modify their off-time environments.